Do animals have emotions and consciousness? Here's what scientists think. For centuries, the inner lives of animals were the domain of philosophers, poets, and pet owners. To suggest an animal felt joy, grief, or possessed a sense of self was often dismissed as sentimental anthropomorphism, the sin of projecting human qualities onto non-human entities. However, the tide of scientific opinion has been turning dramatically. A quiet revolution, fueled by rigorous empirical studies and a growing body of compelling evidence, is challenging our long-held assumptions about the animal mind. Today, the question is no longer if animals have emotions and consciousness, but rather what kind and how we can ethically study it. The paradigm shift, from anecdote to evidence. The transformation began with a move away from behaviorism, which dominated much of the 20th century. Behaviorists argued that only observable behavior could be studied scientifically, and internal states, like emotions or consciousness, were irrelevant, black boxes. But this framework started to crumble under the weight of its own limitations. Why did a dog whimper when left alone? Why did an elephant return to the bones of a deceased relative? Pure stimulus-response explanations felt inadequate. The breakthrough came when scientists began developing ingenious experiments to peer into that black box. Dr. Jane Goodall's pioneering work with chimpanzees was foundational, demonstrating tool use, complex social bonds, and behaviors that looked unmistakably like joy and grief. Since then, the field of cognitive ethology, the study of animal minds in their natural environments, has exploded, providing a wealth of data. A landmark consensus, the expert survey. The shifting consensus was starkly illustrated in a recent study that brought together scientists from various fields to discuss animal emotions and consciousness. Led by Dr. Marcela Benitez from Emory University, the research sought to quantify the opinions of specialists in animal behavior on a topic that has been debated for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. The survey of 100 experts yielded striking results. An overwhelming majority agreed on the presence of emotions and consciousness in non-human primates, 98%, and other mammals, 89%. But the consensus extended much further. A significant 78% of experts attributed them to birds, and more than half agreed that octopuses and fish were conscious and emotional beings. Perhaps most surprisingly, even invertebrates and insects were granted these capacities by a large portion of the respondents, 71% and 67% respectively. This data is powerful because it represents a formal acknowledgement from the scientific community itself. The Cartesian idea of animals as unfeeling automata is, for all practical purposes, dead. So, what is the evidence that convinces scientists? It spans a wide range of emotions and cognitive abilities. 1, the primal emotions, fear, joy, and anger. These are considered primary process emotions, linked to ancient brain structures like the amygdala and limbic system, which are shared across mammals and even birds and reptiles. Fear. A rat conditioned to associate a sound with a mild electric shock will freeze in fear upon hearing the sound. This isn't just a reflex. Scans show heightened activity in the rat's amygdala, the same brain region central to human fear. Joy. Anyone who has seen a dog's play bow or heard the specific vocalizations of rats being tickled, yes, they laugh in ultrasonic chirps, has witnessed joy. Play, a risky behavior that expends energy, serves to build social skills and bonds, and is underpinned by a positive emotional state. The neurotransmitter dopamine, crucial for human reward and pleasure, plays the same role in animals. Anger and frustration. A monkey that receives a cucumber for a task while its neighbor receives a more desirable grape will often throw the cucumber at the researcher in a clear display of outrage, a vivid demonstration of a sense of fairness. The complex social emotions, empathy, grief, and love, these emotions require a higher level of cognitive processing and are strong indicators of complex consciousness. Empathy. In a famous experiment, a rat in a cage would consistently choose to free a companion trapped in a small restrainer, even when a tempting chocolate treat was placed in an alternative container. The rat prioritized the other's distress over its own immediate reward. Elephants are known to console distressed members of their herd with a gentle touch of their trunk and rumbling sounds. Grief. The behavior of dolphins and whales carrying their dead calves for days, sometimes weeks, is difficult to interpret as anything other than profound grief. Elephants have been observed returning to the bones of deceased relatives, touching the skull and tusks with a quiet, lingering solemnity. Coco, the gorilla who used sign language, expressed sadness and loss when her pet kitten died. Love and attachment. The bond between a mother and offspring in mammals is driven by the same hormonal mechanisms, oxytocin, as in humans. The distress calls of a separated calf and the relentless search of its mother are universal signs of a deep emotional attachment. And the mirror of the mind, self-awareness and theory of mind. Consciousness is not just about feeling. It's also about knowing that one feels. Scientists probe this through tests of self-awareness and social cognition. The classic, though debated test involves marking an animal with an odorless, non-tactile dye and placing it in front of a mirror. If the animal uses the mirror to investigate the mark on its own body, it suggests a degree of self-recognition. Great apes, dolphins, elephants, and magpies have all passed this test. Theory of mind is the ability to attribute mental states, knowledge, beliefs, intentions, to others. A subordinate chimpanzee will often hide a prized piece of food if a dominant chimp is watching, indicating it understands that the other has seen the food and therefore knows about it. Corvids, crows and ravens, show similar behaviors, caching food and later re-hiding it if they were observed during the initial cache, but only if they believe the observer is a potential thief. And the pitfalls, anthropomorphism and anthropo-denial. In this nascent field, researchers must navigate two major philosophical pitfalls, both identified in Dr. Benitez's survey as significant risks. Anthropomorphism. This is the tendency to ascribe human form, qualities, or motivations to animals. For example, interpreting a cat's guilty look as a moral understanding of a misdeed, when it is more likely a reaction to the owner's scolding tone. Unscientific anthropomorphism can lead to flawed conclusions. Anthropo-denial, coined by primatologist Frans de Waal, is the a priori rejection of shared characteristics between humans and other animals. It is the refusal to see the continuity of life. The survey revealed that 89% of experts consider anthropo-denial to be the more serious problem in science today. It creates a blind spot, preventing us from seeing the evidence that is right in front of us. As de Waal argues, the question is not whether an animal's grief is exactly like human grief, but whether the underlying emotional and physiological processes are homologous, sharing a common evolutionary origin. The future of the field, technology and ethics. To overcome these biases and gather more objective data, scientists are developing innovative new approaches. As highlighted in the initial research, projects like Capuchins de Toboga, Costa Rica are at the forefront. Here, researchers are using artificial intelligence and touchscreens to analyze the behavior of wild capuchin monkeys. This technology allows for the collection of vast, unbiased datasets on decision-making, social interaction, and problem-solving in a natural setting, effectively bridging the critical gap between controlled laboratory experiments and purely observational field studies. Other technological advances include non-invasive brain imaging. fMRI and EEG scans on awake, cooperative animals are revealing the neural correlates of emotion and decision-making. Biologging. Miniature sensors on wild animals record heart rate, vocalizations, and movement, providing a real-time window into their physiological and emotional states during natural behaviors. This growing understanding carries profound ethical implications. If a fish can feel pain and fear, what does that mean for commercial fishing? If an octopus is conscious and curious, what are the ethics of keeping it in a barren tank? The recognition of animal sentience is forcing a long overdue reckoning in our treatment of animals in agriculture, research, and conservation. The conclusion. The scientific curtain is being drawn back on the rich, complex, and deeply felt inner world of animals. From the joyful play of a puppy to the calculated deception of a crow, from the empathetic rat to the grieving elephant, the evidence is no longer anecdotal. It is empirical. The consensus among scientists is clear. Emotions and consciousness are not the exclusive inheritance of Homo sapiens. They are evolved traits, deeply woven into the fabric of the animal kingdom. Acknowledging this reality is not mere anthropomorphism. It is a scientific necessity, and perhaps our moral duty. The challenge now is to listen to what the science is telling us and to reshape our relationship with the other conscious beings with whom we share this planet.